Danny, in this episode we are going to start with lower units. But I want, if it's possible, refresh to our students the components of the typical lower unit.
Okay. Well, a typical lower unit is just a transmission and an output.
Correct.
That's all it
Correct.
is. So you have the drive shaft. That shaft on the top goes to the crankcase.
This is the shaft that enter in the motor, the motor that we repair in your shop.
Right. If you look on the video, you'll see where the input shaft comes in.
Okay.
And then that shaft goes into a pinion gear. Okay. How the pinion gear works is you have a forward and reverse. Just like your regular transmission, there's only forward and reverse. There's no other ones.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct. This one is exactly the same.
Exactly the
forward
same.
and reverse and the same gear ratio.
Same gear ratio.
Okay. Okay, Danny, what is this?
So this is your bearing carrier, okay? This is what keeps the oil in. So you have an O-ring that keeps the oil in.
Okay.
And you have an O-ring here, but this O-ring really is not for the oil. This is the main one for the oil and the seals. You have the prop shaft seals.
Okay, can you explain to our student where is the oil?
So the oil is inside here, okay? So what happens is when this is in, your exhaust comes here, and if you look down the exhaust, you're only going to see
in
this part.
In this area, I have exhaust.
Exhaust.
And
then the oil is from
here
back.
to here.
Correct.
Okay.
So how this works is you have your bearing in here. You have a thrust washer.
The thrust washer.
And there's needle bearings underneath the thrust washer.
Correct. You have an axial bearing. Axial bearing over there. And you have the washers over the axial bearing. This is a bearing that is working with axial load.
Right.
And engage over there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
So this spins. Now, remember we were talking about the clutch dog.
Oh, correct.
Look here.
The clutch dog enter over there and over there. This one have like a cone.
Yes.
No? But
the sharp side is where the actual clutch dog engages.
Okay.
So remember, your oil is from here up.
Up.
And that's your oil.
And internally. And internally in the carrier.
Yeah, if this is cracked or something.
Correct.
So, and then the other one is your drain seals. People forget to change the drain plug seals. Every time you drain the oil, you should always change the drain plug seals.
Those O-rings. The O-ring that you have on the screen.
O-ring, and sometimes they're plastic. It depends.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
There's plastic, there's O-rings, and there's actually gasket material.
Those plugs are with a flat screwdriver, huh?
Yeah, some are flat and some have Allen key.
Yeah, correct. But because the flat, the people damage that head, no?
Yes, and it's because what happens is they use the wrong size. I use a hammer impact, flathead, and it gets it out.
Okay, perfect.
And you one shot, but you have to replace the seal. So not only will it leak from there, it can leak from here, it can leak from the drain seals, but underneath the water pump.
On the water pump here.
You have seals there.
Okay. You have another seal over there.
Right. So this seal could also go back, and there's an O-ring underneath as well.
And on that point you have intrusion of salt water.
Correct.
It's common?
Yeah, this seal here and the prop shaft seal are the two most common ones.
Okay.
One, because what happens, you see how
the play, yeah, I know.
And there's always play in there, but not as much that one, but there's usually play. And what happens is, as this is spinning at 4,000 RPMs and it's doing this, well, it'll wear a groove into it.
And at the end of the day, the seal is damaged.
Yeah.
No?
Okay.
All right.
So that's the only place. So you have the drive. This is what they call the drive shaft seal. You have the prop shaft seal. You have the carrier seal O-ring, and you have the drain plug seals. That's the only seals that you need to worry
the other possibility is if you have cracks on the housing.
Right. If you have a crack in the housing, you would definitely know. You would see oil everywhere.
Danny, is common the cracks on the housing? Danny, now we are going to explain this mechanism, the mechanisms to engage the clutch.
Right. So basically, we have one here out of a counter rotation, but it's okay. The same principle applies. So if you look here, if you see, that's where that shift shaft that goes in here and moves this. Allows the gauge to engage. See how engaged?
Okay.
And disengage, and they can go in the other gear.
Oh, can you repeat here? Okay, with this you engage.
Yeah, engages. What it does is it grabs. There, see how it grabs?
All right.
And then when you hit the neutral or whatever, it disengages. See how that moves the shift shaft?
Correct.
And it engages. That's why you're never supposed to shift an engine when it's not running, because what happens, it might not line up.
Ah.
You can damage the mechanism here.
Okay, and this is the
This is
the
with a
element
shift
that
rod.
goes up and down.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
it.
the shift rod, correct. What is this, Danny?
This is actually what the shift actuator is. This is what shifts the engine. So if you took the bolts out and you popped it off,
Oh, wonderful! This is a solenoid.
it's a solenoid.
Look at this. This can enter
If you look into the rod.
into the rod. The top of the rod have a groove, no?
Yes, it has actually, it's an octagon. So if you look here, it
Enter
says
over
an
there.
octagon.
Enter over there, and this one goes up and down,
Correct.
up and down. It's a solenoid.
Solenoid. And it's dry. If you notice, there's a seal on the bottom, and this is sealed off, so no water gets
No
into it.
water.
And or oil.
Or no, yeah, of course. For that reason, they have a label and say, "Do not fill with oil."
Correct.
If not, you
Damage
damage
the unit because you
the
have
unit.
the circuit board. that
Oh,
controls
of
as well.
course. Look at the circuit board of the unit. This is a perfect solenoid.
Yep.
And it's controlled by the computer.
Computer and the control
and the
box.
shift control.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, on the
perfect.
system that controls all the electrical, there's two systems. You have two NEMA networks. You have a private network and a public network.
Glenn, can you explain why this element is too sensitive in terms of calibration?
Well, this is set and the calibration will be on the inside.
On the inside, yeah. All right.
And it's got to be
It's a bolt that you calibrate up and down.
correct.
Over there.
Inside.
Like the picture that you have on the screen.
Correct.
And you turn it down or up, and what happens if the calibration is not in the point recommended?
Well, it moves what we call a clutch dog. And if it's not adjusted properly,
Correct.
as it's just running, like if it's running in neutral, the gears might be just touching, and then it makes a noise, and then metal, and then you blow the
Or
dog.
it's difficult when you engage the gear, you hear the click.
Yeah, slamming in. Right? You move it just a little bit of being gear, then reverse. You got to go way back.
Correct.
So you got to bring.